Welcome to Shape the Podcast, a podcast all about maintaining mental health by sharing stories from those who have overcome negative experiences and feelings, and then turned them into something positive. Meet your host.
Oh, hey, what is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. You know us two by now, and if you don't, you're living underneath a rock. I, of course, am now the mustachioed, Kyle Waller. Yeah, I couldn't do it, sir.
I am still freshly lacking.
No, I tried. I tried my best to not wear a mustache. I couldn't. Shaving every single day was not for me. But how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
How's Connecticut? How is work?
Work is, it's what we have to do, I guess. But we're getting there. Season's winding down, and pretty soon I'll be doing nothing for a couple of months except ice fishing.
I mean, that sounds like a great goal.
Except like the cold, but I'd rather be warm water fishing if I had a choice.
Now, ice fishing. Do you actually go out on the lake and put your little hut up and everything?
Oh yeah, yep. I do that local, but I often go up to the Adirondacks, and I have a much larger shack that is built into a sled that I tow out with my snowmobile. And I mean, you could spend a day and a half, sometimes 18 hours out there. You sleep, you eat, you do everything right in your shanty.
Huh.
Yeah. It's
interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah. It's like, remember the movie Grumpy Old Men with Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon?
Uh-huh.
Right? That's who that was? Yeah. It's just like that, but now the shacks are portable.
That's pretty cool. So, other than that, what's any updates on Olivia and that whole situation?
Nothing good, but nothing bad.
There you go.
She's home. She's stable. She is starting to get back into the cycle of seeing the people she needs to see and getting back on her medication and getting stabilized in that regard. But there's no path, there's no drive. So until she finds herself a career in motivation, she's just going to keep having those ups and downs.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing, especially with her and knowing her backstory and everything she's gone through. I mean, that's a struggle for her, and that's a struggle for you guys because you can only do so much,
Correct.
As a parent of an adult, you can what they call it. You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. Okay.
Exactly.
But man, I speaking of drinking water and horses, this particular podcast is one that I've been wanting to do for a long time. We've mainly have focused on people's stories and about what they did to overcome negative obstacles in their lives and make things positive. But I've been wanting to shift gears, and since it is the holiday season, and social media is such a big thing in people's lives, I've wanted to talk about social media and mental health, and so tonight's podcast is going to be just that. And in doing so, I did reach out to a few people that I know and outside of the breeding community to get their perspectives on social media, mental health, and what they've dealt with it, and in doing so, how they were dealing with it. One of my guests is somebody I've known, heck, since I was a wee kid, preteen, teenager. He's a former pastor of a church I went to. His name is Philip Smith, and then, of course, everybody knows my next two guests, Aaron and Natalie Johnson, because they're the face of well, they've been the face of the bearding community for a long time. Aaron is basically the social media guy for Big Sexy Beard Brand. So I thought, why not have those people come on and, let's talk about social media and mental health, and, and in doing so, shed some light on some do's and don'ts of dealing with mental health and being on social media. So I know I have a few questions, and I did put some questions out there into the universe on Facebook, and we'll actually talk about those tonight. But how about we bring on our guests and let them introduce themselves? All right. First, we'll start with Mr. Philip Smith. Hey, sir. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. I want you to know that I'm feeling a little naked right now. I have never had a beard in my whole life. And if I'd have known you guys had beards, then what I'd have done is at least I could have at least gone and purchased something cheap from somewhere.
Well, sir, I don't know how your wife would feel about you having a beard, but all you have to do is just throw the razor away. Okay, that's all it takes. Right? All it takes is throwing the razor away and having a heart for helping charity. Because that's really why we grow the beards. We grow the beards to help out different charities. Plus, we do win cool awards and we do meet people, but it's all about the love of facial hair. But yeah, so Amy, whenever she watches this, Amy, your husband wants to grow a mustache or some facial hair, okay? So it won't take long, trust me.
Yeah.
But welcome, sir. Welcome to the podcast. I know you've known me and my family for a long time, but a lot of my listeners and guests don't know you. So why don't you introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Philip Smith. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Just recently retired from ministry as pastor, and I pastored at a church, been there for 22 years. If you're at a church for 22 years, a lot of people in the community, in the church and stuff, and really love people, have enjoyed people for years, all different kinds of people. Before I was in the church world, I was a welder in a metal fabrication shop, but I'll say this, mental health is something that when I first started in ministry, you saw some, but now it is the challenges people face are so prevalent that it's mind-blowing to end up thinking about. And there's not enough people to go around and help, but it is obviously a serious need, and it's something that all of us have to be involved in to help on the solution side, to end up allowing people the chance to have somebody to walk through some of their deepest, darkest valleys of their life. So
now, you've been around it, you've seen it on social media and the impacts of social media with mental health. Just earlier today, a young girl from Indiana was actually buried. Her funeral was today because of she took her own life, but she took her own life because of social media and bullying. You being in the faith and being a pastor, you've seen your ups and downs. I'm sure that you've had people come to you and discuss things in their lives and doing so, and being in the community there in Tennessee. What's some inputs that you can give, on social media? And one of those being a question that I asked earlier today, where do you draw the line at when it comes to social media, like posting, what should be and should not be posted on social media, and especially pertaining to mental health?
Well, this is the thing I'll say. I'll end up sharing one Bible verse that you'd probably not imagine this being something that you would share in terms of people's challenges with mental health. But it comes from Genesis chapter 2, verses 18. And it simply says this, and this is right after God created Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And what God says is He says, it is not good for man to be alone. And so what has happened with social media, we think that through social media, we are connecting with one another, and we are on a certain level, but we are not connecting on the level that all of us need to connect with other human beings.
Mhm.
And I grew up in a time that when you wanted to connect with somebody, you wanted to know somebody, you wanted to date somebody or whatever, you wanted a relationship with someone, you had two options. And the option number one was talking on the phone. Okay. This was during the days that we had the phones with the long cords connected to the walls.
Mhm.
Okay. The long squiggly cords, you could do that, or you could spend time with them. And that was it. And so we have so many options for people to think they're somewhat or another socially connected to each other, but they're seeing the best side of a person that doesn't really exist, and they're living in this image of I wished I could do this, or I could do that, or I could be able to experience something. But what we all need, and I don't care young, old, we all need human connection, face to face, time together connection. And social media does not do that.
Yeah. And it's funny that, you bring that up, because I asked a question yesterday saying, what if this smartphones, what if social media, like Facebook, anything, what if that were all just to disappear? What would we do as human beings? Because, like you said, back when I was growing up, we had one phone in the house, and it was the one with the long cord where, you could either play jump rope, or, somebody would trip over it and almost hang themselves. And then you only had one TV. And I can think about growing up, my household, there were 6 of us, plus mom and dad, there were 8. So that's a lot of people with one TV. But that also brought in time for everybody to share, families to be there, and that's like my thing is that for me, I don't know if people would be able to survive. Like I know that on 2 hands, I have 10 people's phone numbers where if social media were to disappear, if smartphones were to disappear, I have 10 people from social media that I could call on a daily basis. One of those guys who I already talked to, 2, besides Jason, another guy that I talk to on a weekly basis more than once, but it's, for me, social media has totally ruined the connection, especially pertaining to mental health, that people need, and it's also helped a lot. But it's sad that we have to rely on that. We've come to rely on social media to get us through our days. We come to rely on social media to help our businesses, to help our growth of any type. But really, it's like, should we rely on it all the time? No. I mean, you've seen the stories in the paper. You've seen the stories online of people dealing with mental health, and the struggles that social media has brought to it. I just think that if we got back to more simpler lives, it would help a little bit, because then you would have to really reach out and talk to somebody. You couldn't.
Yeah.
A lot of people hide behind social media. We've seen that recently. With all the election stuff that's going on and everything that's going on negative in this world on both sides of the fence, this can make a person one thing, and it can also make a person hate another person, and that's one thing that I don't think should happen or needs to happen. Has it been a great tool for mental health? Yes, but I think it's also ruining, the way that mental health is looked at. It's caused more people to be able to bully. Bullying is terrible these days. On all sides of the fence, young, old. It's caused a lot of people to be bullied, not just in school, but online bullying, to where it's affected their lives and their families' lives. It's, to me, it's just a sad thing that happens in this world. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave you on here, but let's bring on Aaron and Natalie. Aaron is going to be on camera, but Natalie is going to be in the background on her microphone. But what's look?
Wow, you gave me applause. That's pretty good. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, it wasn't me, and I told Jason about that earlier. I said, "Hey,
it wasn't me."
Yeah, I know it was Aaron. We all know it was Aaron.
Audience. Thanks for your audience. We greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
What's up?
Well, hey,
What's up,
I thank
guys?
you for giving yourself applause, sir.
I didn't do it. What, do I look like I have an audience? This isn't my show. You're the one. With
No,
the studio
he's
here.
not the host. He couldn't have done it.
So
Yeah.
So Aaron, you've been in and present on social media and the whole social media world for numerous years, and doing so with not just bearding, but you were the face of another beard oil company that you no longer work with, and now you're the face of Big Sexy.
Not really the face, but yeah,
Well,
we I do work with them, and there's pluses and minuses to social media, right?
Yeah.
Well, utilizing it for an advertising platform, I think is extremely useful. I mean, people look at it and you just shove ads in front of their face, just like TV or whatever, and it's pretty useful. But like you were saying earlier, man, like people definitely abuse it, and it puts people in dark places and stuff like that. So there's always good and bad with a lot of things, and social media is definitely one of those same deals.
Now, what have you guys, with Natalie and her kidney diagnosis and things of that nature, that takes a big focus on one's mental health, but you in doing so you've seen the hatred from some people lately,
Yeah, I mean, we've also seen a ton of positive, right? Like, I mean, yeah, there's always negative, but I mean, when Natalie had her kidney mishap a couple of years ago, I mean, there was a huge social media outpouring, and people were little fundraisers for and stuff like that. So, I mean, that was all extremely positive. But then, you definitely get people that are hateful, right? I mean. Yeah. It's just out there. People love being negative. And I don't know why. I think that's and one thing I've said, and I've said it a bunch of times, is I feel like social media gives a lot of people a platform that might not necessarily deserve a platform, or they shouldn't have that soapbox because they not necessarily don't deserve it, but they kind of don't deserve it, right? Like they just don't need to be spreading the things that they spread, and they didn't have such a easy device to kind of just blabber or whatever. Then they would be a little bit more silent, and maybe there would be a little bit more peace in the world, because people wouldn't just so easily be able to spread hate or just not necessarily hate, but just like I said, just people just love being miserable, man. And I think that they get to use the cell phone way too easy, and they have just unlimited access to audiences that, 20 years ago, you'd have to really do a lot of work to be able to have such a wide audience to be able to share your opinions that, might be questionable. So,
you're talking about that. Where do you think the line should be drawn on what should or should not be posted on social media? I mean, I have my observations and my thoughts. Like, I don't think anybody who has a child, especially in today's age, I don't think should be posting anything about your especially a young child, because you don't know who's out there on social media land,
and that's
so
sad,
many, so many, especially with like Snapchat, things of that nature, which all these young kids have now. You know,
Young kids with their Snapchat.
well, so some adults, you know, but it's really popular amongst teenagers, you know, and you've heard the stories, you've seen the stories about, you know, kids being abducted because people are finding their addresses through a simple, you know, an app that was meant to be fun.
That's scary. You can pinpoint the crap out of people with Snapchat. Like, it's not safe. Like, if it's a super not safe app. Like, you can stalk people super good with Snapchat.
Super easy.
Like, way too easy.
I do it.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
I'll see how far they are. I'll be like, it could take me 16 hours to get over this location right now.
I mean, it's you know, and that's the thing with technology, and that's I love and hate it. You know, I hate it because of how you don't know. You know, like anything can happen. You know, somebody can find out where anybody lives. You know, somebody could post whatever the hell they want to. Pardon my French, but you know, and
We have a pastor here, Kyle.
I said, pardon my French, okay?
Oh, you can't just say bad things and then apologize for it. You gotta be nice.
Pardon my French beforehand, okay? Sorry.
There you go.
But you know, it's like for me, I now, you know, of course, you've known me for a while, and you know how the old Kyle used to be.
Yeah. Oh, I do.
You know, Jason really never knew who the old Kyle was. He only knows the Kyle that I am now.
You missed out.
No, you did not.
He was a handful.
I was one of those guys who would go on social media, post whatever I want to, and not give a flying flip what people thought. You know, and
I was there myself, and it changes as you mature, as you get older. But as you start to recognize that, hey, you know, I've got this business that's 55 years old, and my customers are watching me.
Yeah.
And then you get into like the beard world, for example. Now there's a very close connection with the customers you're interacting with, and you realize that the things you say have consequences if you're smart enough to recognize that dynamic, and you have to learn to pull that stuff back.
Yeah.
And not present that.
And
Whichever way you go, but
yeah,
you shouldn't be airing that out there when you're trying to interact with people on a professional level.
Well, I will say that. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Oh no. I was gonna say what your perspective was. So
Aaron and I are complete opposites with social media. I am a more private person than Aaron. Aaron will take photos every single day. He will post every single day. He will tell you what he is doing morning, noon, and night. I can guarantee to you that prior to the last couple of years, when I let it be known publicly, nobody in this community knew that I was dying of kidney failure. Nobody knew everything I went through. Prior to I don't even think most of the community knows I have a 24-year-old son. Because
I knew that because of your story.
Yeah, but like most people don't know because I don't post about him. I don't. Every once in a while, I put a picture of him on there, but literally, no, people don't know. I'm a very private person. If me and someone else are having a fight, I do not take it to Facebook to vent about it. I will settle that privately between me and that person.
As you should.
Yeah,
and I feel like
that.
Yeah, and I feel like people they don't think about that anymore. Literally, they go to Facebook and they will tell you anything and everything. They have no filters because they are behind a screen. And as soon as you see those people in person, they're a complete opposite.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't like, that I've seen a whole bunch of. Like, people will be super nasty on social media, and then you'll see them out and about at an event or whatever, and they're like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, you remember how nasty you were for the last 2 years on social media? Like, that's real. That's real life. I think maybe some people just have a complete a mental disconnect that oh, I'm just doing this stuff on Facebook. Well, it's actually real. It's
you bring that up
on Facebook or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, you bring that up and it's a great topic, because somebody came to me, one there was a particular incident that happened on Facebook. Everybody knows that there was a political figure who recently was shot. I try not to get involved in politics or religion simply because people have their own opinions, and some people like to disagree about things and this and that. But there was an incident on Facebook and somebody came to me and said, "Well, hey, how can you be friends with this person when they're for this guy, and this guy is basically, for everything that we're against and stuff like that." And I'm like, it's because they're human beings, and that's one thing.
Everyone's different, man. Like,
yeah, we're all human beings, but we all have different, opinions on stuff. We all have different, whether it be religious or political views. That's one thing that I think that social media has totally ruined is who we are as a human. We're all human beings. It doesn't matter what we believe in.
We all don't like the same food. We don't like the same people. Like, we don't like the same music. Like, how boring would that be if everybody just liked the same exact things? Like, that's just part of it. Just because, like, Kyle wears a small glove doesn't mean that I'm not going to be friends with him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't wear small gloves.
Hey,
I would have to go to the kids section, okay?
Those small gloves are hiding those tiny numbers on his fingers.
Exactly. You got those tiny numbers on your fingers. But, like, it's that ridiculous. Like, just because we don't agree with something doesn't mean that we can't be friends. Like, just because we have differences, like, that's the craziest thing to me. And I think social media has made that way worse. Like, people are like, they're able to just so quickly and so easily dismiss people just because they have a different opinion about something, not necessarily, like, of any nature, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like social media gives people a bigger platform than a lot of people deserve because just because we don't agree with something. And you can freaking hide behind it.
But the question is,
it's not like when we were kids. You went in the playground and you said something to somebody you shouldn't. There was a way you learned your lesson from that.
Absolutely. And a lot of people need to learn a lesson that way. They forgot what you run your mouth on the playground felt like.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people forgot that.
So what are your thoughts, Philip? On that. You've pastored a church with hundreds of people. You've seen it. What are your exact thoughts on how social media has changed the world, so to speak?
Well, here's the thing I'll say. When it comes to when it ends up coming to the Hebrew language, the word for word in Hebrew also means thing. And so when we speak something, we are creating something. Okay. And so now in our gathering right now, if we're talking about things that are hopeful, we're talking about the ways that we can be kinder to one another, we're talking about the ways that we can be gracious. When we say something, it creates something. And so what happens sometimes when people, and this has already been mentioned, when people are in conflict with each other, when you say it out publicly, then if I've got issues with Kyle and I tell everybody I've got issues with Kyle, then now I don't just have issues with Kyle and Kyle doesn't have issues with me. Kyle and Philip have issues with Philip running his mouth, sharing all these things that I should not have shared. And it's just one of those things. Once it goes out, you cannot take it back. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, clearly all of us have said things we shouldn't have said. We've done things that we shouldn't have done. We thought ways about people that were just not true. And if we just stop and take the time to not bite and devour and cut up each other with our mouths, then the worlds that we will create with our words will be worlds that heal and not end up hurt.
And by the way, Philip, if that were to ever happen, my mother would probably believe you. Okay. You've known my mom for quite some time. So my mom would be like, yeah, that sounds like Kyle. She would believe you. Right? So I'll have to tell her, hey, Mom, don't believe anything Philip says.
That's right. Okay? That's right. Tell her.
But yeah, it's to me, it's just like, I think that, like I said earlier, it's one of those things where you have to think about what you're posting on social media. Me and Jason, as podcast hosts, we have to think about what we post on social media. There was an incident earlier a few months ago where Jason had posted something on social media. One of our people that was going to be a guest saw this post and was like, all right, because of this post, I don't feel like coming on the podcast anymore. I don't feel like sharing my story. Huh?
Say good job, Jason.
Well, yeah, everybody knows. So, how the majority of people know how Jason is. Okay. But you never know what you might put on Facebook that might get somebody,
I need context.
Out of context. And that's what it was. It was an out of context thing.
I don't remember what that was actually, Nat. I remember the situation and I remember who the guest was. Yeah. I don't really remember what the post was.
But that's the thing, is that it's hard to really understand a person through social media. We can post whatever we want, and people say that, oh well, that's their true feelings, and a lot it might be, but I believe that social media has brought out a lot of hate in a lot of people, and in doing so, it's affected people's mental health.
Yeah.
If I didn't have this podcast, I could tell you right now that I would not be on social media.
Like at all? You think you would have already gotten rid of just all social media?
Yeah, or if I wasn't organizing 2 events for next year, I wouldn't be on social media. I've done
utilize social media for its tools, not its,
like I've done the social media detoxing where I've taken a sabbatical for over a year off of social media before, and I can tell you this: when I got back on it, I did not miss a thing.
Yeah, it was the same old mess. Sitting here waiting for you.
It's the same old. That, and if I wanted to find out what's going on, all I did was go on my phone, find a friend, and call them. I don't think. And then they could just read
Facebook to you.
Yeah, or they would just tell me
Facebook to me.
No, like they would tell me what event's going on, or something that I need to know. I don't think there's probably anyone out there who can call up 10 friends off of Facebook and just talk to them. Like genuinely talk to them. Because a lot of people would be lost if it wasn't for Facebook or social media. I mean, I know that I could reach out to Aaron and possibly have him answer my phone call. I know that I have Jason's phone number, even though for some odd reason we always go through Facebook Messenger. But I know that within my own, there's at least 10 people that I would reach out to, and say, hey, how are you doing? What's going on? And I think a lot of that has been lost through social media, because like Natalie says, some people don't post their private stuff on Facebook. I don't post a lot of private stuff on Facebook, everybody, some people know that I have a son, but I don't share that on Facebook, simply because of it's just a private matter. And let's just be honest, I don't think people would understand the seriousness behind it all, but it's like, where do you draw the line at? Like for me, it's I'm not going to post stuff about my family or serious stuff about my friends unless they want me to, Jason knows, and Aaron, as being co-owners of a beard oil company, the eyes that you have on you, I'm sure that there's certain points to where you draw the line and be like, okay, I want to post this, but I can't. Like, how many times have you hit the delete button on posting something and not post it simply because of your statures?
I've definitely, like, I think if I was just a single dude and I wasn't with Natalie, I'd post a lot more obnoxious stuff probably. But I know she doesn't. She probably
Roll
wouldn't.
Tide.
Yeah, a bunch of Roll Tide stuff. But I don't know. Also, with like, I feel like with the previous company I was with, I was way more like, I don't know the right word, not secluded, but like dialed back a little bit with like even like stuff that like I posted or like said on Talking Beards or anything. And I feel like since that relationship's dissolved, I feel like I've been a little bit more loose with stuff that I've posted and said, but not, I don't know. I try to keep, I try not to like cause trouble, but at the same time, like yeah, like I would, there's things that you don't want to post just because it's gonna, aggravate people, and then it'll cause certain conversations and stuff.
So you think before you hit the send button.
I definitely do think before I hit the send button.
I do that too.
But sometimes it's like, you know what? There's been a few times that it's just been like, I'm sending it, and we're just gonna see what happens, and things happen, But,
and I just say, oh no.
Why did you do this? Because I don't care right now.
So what you're saying is Natalie, you're the voice of reasoning?
Sometimes.
Absolutely.
Sometimes she's definitely, she's my adult supervision,
I get, my wife is definitely my adult supervision too.
Oh, we've seen.
Yeah. You need it, Cal Waller. You need adult supervision. I just pretty much need it, but you definitely need it. But yeah, I mean, sometimes you gotta, unless you're just winging it and you're just gonna just know, like, I don't go out of my way to make people mad on social media, but some people don't have that thought process. Like I think some people probably live for that, right? Like they post stuff to know that this is going to get a bunch of nasty comments, and people are going to comment, and then we're going to be nasty back, and like they probably feed off that whole thing. And I'm not that. I genuinely have no desire to have any disagreements with someone in person, and I definitely don't feel like having disagreements with people on social media on purpose. So I definitely think about before I post. I think that was the original thing.
Yeah, well, like for me, I just recently did a Facebook cleansing and got rid of a bunch of people who did not bring value to my life.
That's huge,
that's
man.
Smart.
Yeah, that's extremely good. Like you don't need to have people that aren't bringing positivity to your life. You deserve to not have that around.
Yeah,
you don't have to. Like
nobody needs to.
You don't have to have that crap around.
I have learned from my own experiences that removing that negativity and no longer seeing those people's names on your Facebook will lift your whole mood, and it'll change you for the better.
It's crazy.
It's healthy.
Just seeing some people's face on Facebook just pisses you off sometimes. And you know what? It's just best to
unfriend and move on.
Unfriend them and move on.
I'm sure that's how Philip feels when he sees him in person. Lord have mercy!
Here comes to unfriend you and move on.
Here comes my brother-in-law Greg. I wonder what he wants.
Yeah.
Which Greg is my cousin, so I can say that. But it's like I did that. Hey, number one, it's because my life is a more positive life now, and number two, after June of next year, my bearding journey, and a lot of my friends were through the bearding committee, that's kind of stopping. So I don't need these people who don't hold value in my life to be a part of my life, And I'm not done yet. I went down from 800 and something friends, and I'm done to 600. So I dropped like 200 off like that. You know,
Am I still there?
you are still there.
Barely.
Yeah, you're hanging on by a
Made the
pink
first
hair,
cut.
sir. But you know, like even with you, Jason, I'm sure there are times when Doc has probably said, "Hey, you need to rein it in, sir." You know, I'm sure.
So I'll tell you, his daughter is my voice of reason on our brand posts because, you know, we started out very edgy and we, you know, from a sexual perspective, a lot of innuendo, and I still kind of gravitate a lot of ads to that direction. But when his daughter sends him a message and says, you got to wheel him back, you got to pull him back a little bit, that's when he comes to me and says, hey, you know, my daughter called me and she's like, she doesn't want to see this kind of stuff on her dad's page. And I'm like, okay, then I know I went just a click or two too far. So she is the voice of reason, not him.
Well,
How
you know,
old is your daughter?
yeah. How old's the daughter?
In college, so in her early 20s, maybe.
She's a smart young lady. I like her.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
and speaking of ages of kids, what age do you think? And you know, we're all fathers and mothers here. At what age do you think it's okay for a kid to have social media?
18. I don't know.
I don't know. Like,
I mean,
It's a different world, right?
it's a different world now than when we were kids.
Yeah.
Right,
Like,
the
just
kids
imagine
today
the
are
dumb
native
stuff we would-
users.
Do what?
The kids today are native users. They've grown up with it, whereas we
Yeah.
learn to enhance or learn to use the products that are out there. The kids today, they've grown up and it's all they've known.
Yeah, because
I mean,
they're sitting in a
Phil,
grocery cart freaking watching iPads.
yeah, Philip
Correct.
can probably give a better perspective because his kids were grown up and around a bunch of kids, you know. But at what age were you allowed to have your kids, you know, on social media, Philip?
Well, I know that we didn't let them have phones till they were like 12, 13
Yeah.
or something. But the thing is, I say this, when it comes to answering that is difficult to answer because there's so many different types of apps and there are some apps that are safer than others. What is hard as a parent, and I don't care what social media apps your kids are on, what is hard as a parent is to monitor that.
Mhm.
Okay, that is what is difficult, and so, but yeah, this is. I'll end up answering this by not answering it because this is what my dad always says when we talk about difficult things. There are questions that are above my pay grade, and that is one of them. Okay, that's it.
That's above his
I
pay
don't know.
grade.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like, you know, there has to be, like, for me, growing up as a kid, social media wasn't around. Like, I didn't really hear about Facebook until I got to be a senior in high school, and that was back in like 97, 98. But then Facebook was
in 97 or 98.
They didn't have
MySpace,
Facebook.
It was MySpace.
Facebook,
Kyle
whatever.
Waller invented Facebook. That's what I
I did.
did.
Well, you know what I mean. Like you didn't hear about anything like that until I was like, you know, 17, 18. Social media wasn't even a blimp on the radar until a guy named Tom invented MySpace.
Freaking
You know,
Tom.
But then again, it was so it was so different. You know, different then. Like I think everybody needs to go back to MySpace. Like
Yeah, me too.
get
Well,
Very pro
before MySpace was the bulletin boards. I don't know if you remember
Yes.
the bulletin boards.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in the chat rooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can make like Angel Fire websites.
I mean, but you know, that's simpler times, and I think that if we as people devoted some time to unplug, you know, just take that like you and Natalie do when you go down to Florida, you know, your second home, you know, like you unplug, you unplug from social media, you're together, you know, you do that fun stuff, but I don't know how people would survive if they were to unplug. You know, like this weekend, me and my wife are going to go for a drive in the country. We're not going to look on Facebook at the Ohio State game, you know, because everybody knows my nephew plays for Ohio State. So we're not going to pay attention.
Yeah, everyone.
We're not going to pay attention to that. We're not going to pay attention to anything. We're going to spend time together as a couple, you know. And I think a lot of people should get back to that. A lot of kids should get back to turning off technology for a few hours a night and spending time with their mom and dad. Hey, go outside and play. Well, when we were kids, that's what we did. You know, we weren't stuck behind a video game. You know, we weren't stuck behind a computer. It was when it got daylight outside, you were outside. When it started getting dark, you came in. You know, you either came inside to use the bathroom or to eat lunch. And if you stayed inside, you had to help mom clean. Right?
Yeah, it was like when we were kids, it was a punishment to be inside.
Yes.
Now it's like a punishment to go outside.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny you mentioned us going to Orlando and winding because Aaron and I had made an observation going to Orlando with our season passes. Those kids are always on their phones.
Dude, it makes me so mad.
Always. Like, there are kids everywhere just walking around, staring at their phones, walking. Well, I guess they're wobbling around the park, not paying attention. We have shoulder checked so many kids and adults.
I like it. I won't move. If someone's on their phone and they're like just walking and I'm not gonna have a head on collision, but I'm not gonna completely get out of the way.
I try to move, but I've still managed to hit them.
Nah. Sometimes people just, need a little nudge in the right direction to, look up.
But always on their phones. We were literally getting off a ride, walking down steps, and this kid had his phone out. And Aaron, no joke, goes, "Get off your kid, or get off your phone, kid. Get off the phone and walk down these steps."
Yeah, he was literally walking down steps on his phone. He was just like, I don't know. It was aggravating me. Number one, he was going slow, and so that was just frustrating me. But like, you're walking down several stairs. Like, that is super unsafe.
A super long flight of steps.
You know what I mean? Like, this kid was probably like 10, 11, just on his phone.
I mean, so you accidentally trip the kid and he falls down several steps.
Well, guess what? He put his phone up. He didn't even look at me. He just put that phone right in his pocket and he just started hoofing it.
And then his sister started to get her phone. He was like, "No."
This dude's going to yell at you. But what if that kid would, busted his butt walking down the steps? He'd have ruined their whole family's vacation because he couldn't stay off that phone walking downstairs. So, I gave his parents help. Get off the phone. And he did.
He probably thought you were bullying him, by the way. And by the way, Aaron, bullying, it doesn't make you cool, okay?
I know, but I love bullying you, Kyle. It's one of my top 5 favorite things to do.
No, but yeah, it's. I just think that this is a subject that a lot of parents need to sit down with their kids and talk about, and a lot of people in general need to sit down with each other and talk about. Social media and the negativities of it, and B, what should be done and what shouldn't be done. We've seen it. Suicide rate here lately in young teenagers is skyrocketed through the roof. Because of social media and being picked on, and just trying to stop trying to be like the Joneses. And that's, I think a lot of us have tried that. We have to have the next best thing. We have to add this. We have to add that to try to fit in. And as we've seen, those who have struggled with that some of them have ended their lives, but, and that's the scary thing about it is that, but I believe that social media and the things that we see online have a lot to do with that, and also it's the way that you're brought up. I think really, the way we were all brought up, different era than it is now. But like Jason said, these kids are now, this is their silver spoon, that they have to have the next best thing. They have to have this. They have to have, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, WhatsApp, whatever else there is out there. You have to rely on that. And to me, I think that, like I said, it's time that we all unplug and and just enjoy like a non-social media life for a while. Heck, bring back Blockbuster. Whatever happened to go into a Blockbuster, rent a movie on a Friday night, and sitting down and watching it with your family? Like, how many people could say this day and age that they've done that?
No kids.
No kids can. And how many kids can say that they actually sat down on a Friday or Saturday night with their parents without being on the phone and had dinner in the same room or watched a movie in the same room with their families without touching technology? It's just
So here's the experiment that my daughter's boyfriend is gonna have this weekend.
all right.
He's coming with me to our camp in upstate New York to help me do a little bit of tree work. And he doesn't know yet that the camp is completely off grid and there's no cell service. So he has volunteered to go and help, but he's going to learn about a mile from the cabin that this stops working for the next 2 days. So he's going to have an interesting, possibly rude awakening. But I wish this happened a week ago so we could have talked about it tonight. But it'd be interesting to see how it reacts to that.
By the time this episode airs, because this is a recorded episode for people who are going to be watching it, you'll have to give me an update on our next live episode and see, hey, how did it work out? How did this social experiment go? Because now he has to be social, and not just on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So
then all I've got to say is before you get to the place that he is off grid, you should probably check on mental health facilities that are close to there, just in case there's any problems.
Yeah, you may need to drop him off or take him in the middle of the night or something.
Closest hospital's like an hour away.
You better have it on speed dial.
His phone doesn't work out.
Well, thank you guys for coming on and providing input to this. I
Absolutely.
It's, to me, it's just an episode that I thought needed to happen. With the state of the way that the world is these days, I think more people need to sit down and talk about it, and talk about the effects that it has on one's mental health. It's not a healthy thing, It's really not my eyes. So,
Well, Kyle,
at the same time, Kyle, that this group of people and a show like this, which is shared on social media, shows the benefits of social media. It shows people who might be suffering and struggling that there's many more people out there that deal with similar issues, and it helps break that stigma. So as bad as social media can be, there's a huge positive side of it too that we don't want to overlook.
Yeah. Well, this podcast would not be this podcast if it wasn't for social media,
Correct.
I mean, a podcast in general wouldn't be a podcast. We'd have to go back to writing letters. And how many of us can even think about an address, let alone how to fill the envelope out right to write a letter, So there is that.
Mm-hmm.
well,
So,
Go ahead.
Any, go ahead. Whoever wants to go ahead.
I was going to say, I appreciate you asking us to come on and talk about this tonight, Kyle.
Yeah, and Kyle, this is the thing I'd say for all of us is that for us to be mindful of the people that we are connected to. And that if we see somebody that's struggling, we see somebody that we can tell in their language or in the tone of their language, in what they're posting, in what they're saying, if we hear from a friend, hey, so-and-so's down or something, that we need to be a present help in somebody else's time of need just by saying, hey, man, can I end up taking you to coffee? Can we go get something to eat? And just sit down with them and let them talk and process. What's saddest to me when anyone takes their life is the belief a lot of times that person has that the world is better off without me in it. And that is not true. And so when we're able to pinpoint or hear, or we find out something's going on in somebody's life, they're really struggling, there's nothing else that can take the place of somebody showing up and being present in your life at that moment. What's so tragic is many people don't feel like they've got that person.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So, but anybody who's watching, if I say this at the end of every episode, I'm gonna say it now. If you're out there struggling with anything, mental health, or out there struggling not with just mental health, but with just life in general, reach out and talk to somebody. My phone's always on. My messenger for Facebook is always on, even though sometimes I'll get called by somebody at midnight while my wife is trying to sleep, and she'll be like, "Who's calling you?" Most of the time it's Scott Turner, but it's one of those things to where be present, and that's what it takes. All it takes is being present in our lives and in somebody else's lives on a daily basis. So I appreciate you guys. Aaron, you got anything else before I wrap up, sir?
That's it, man. You did a great job, and I think this was a super solid episode, and a lot of things need to be said, and you're doing great work, man.
I appreciate it very much. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm gonna let you guys remove yourselves to the back room, and me and
Natalie.
Yes, thank you, thank you, Miss Natalie, and
You're welcome.
thank you to your esteemed guest Andrew for not being a part of this. We appreciate it. I'm just kidding. One day I'll have you on this podcast. But I thank you guys very much.
Okay. Goodbye.
Well, Jason, that was it, sir. That was what I think the message. I think the premises of this podcast came across. So, thank you for being a part of it again, and thank you for being a part of my life and a part of this podcast life. I really do appreciate it.
Of course. Happy to be here. Glad to be a part of it.
And if social media were to ever end, you would still be a part of my life. So
that means we'll have to text instead of messenger.
That's true. We'll have to call each other on the phone. So again, everybody, this was a recorded episode of Shape the Podcast. I hope you all have a great night. Again, if you're struggling, reach out, talk to somebody. And just remember that bullying, it doesn't make you cool. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you later.